Emmy and Grammy-nominated comedian and actor you know from shows like Breaking Bad and The Mandalorian and movies such as The King of Staten Island, Old Dads, and Unfrosted. He stars in Glengarry Glen Ross, which is now playing on Broadway at the Palace Theater here in New York. His latest comedy special, Bill Burr, Drop Dead Years, is streaming on Hulu. Please welcome back to the show our friend Bill Burr. Lucky enough to see the show. You're fantastic in it.
Oh, thank you.
It's your Broadway debut, and you know, you seem very confident on stage, as you always are. Was this a nerve-wracking experience?
Yes. I had never done it before. I didn't know what was going to happen, and you know, I'm working with some big guys. You know, Karen and Bob Odenkirk and all of these guys, Michael McKean and all of that. So yeah, I was definitely nervous. I'm a comedian. You know what I mean? So getting thrown in there was, that was definitely something, you know, I was stressing about it.
The play is open now, and we were talking about the fun is now you can just sort of look for ways to make it better during the rest of the run. You and Michael McKean are on stage in the beginning, and again, I'm used to seeing you on stage alone, and you guys just seem to have a wonderful back and forth. I mean, again, it's a David Mamet script, it's great, but you guys are making it your own. What's that process been like, sort of sharing focus with somebody?
It's been fun because Michael just like lobs it over the net. Like, it's like T-ball acting with that guy.
You were saying, you know, when you started doing Broadway, people say, you know, the matinee shows, those are worse audiences. But yesterday you did two shows.
People always go, oh, the matinee, here come the blue hairs. Like all these old ladies with broken hips are gonna come in. And it isn't. You look out, it looks like this crowd. So I just look at it like, you know, So I just look at it like maybe they wanted to go to the Late Show, they didn't have the money. So I get like amped up for those types of shows. I learned that as a stand-up comedian. You do 3 shows Saturday night, and when nobody knew who you were, like, you know, 10 people would show up. And I used to go up with 10 people energy, like, oh, this is gonna suck. and then it did. So somebody finally told me, it's like, why don't you go on stage and make those 10 people wish they brought 10 people? So it made me like, it gave you like a focus. So whenever we do like shows like that, you know what I mean? Like the matinee show, or we're past the premiere. So all the, you know, the famous people aren't coming by now. So then it's like, now what? It's like, well, do it for these people that are showing up, man.
And there was a buzz. There was a buzz last night. It's a show people want to see. You do have time off stage as well, and I'm sort of fascinated by what an actor is doing in a Broadway show when they are not on stage.
Oh yeah, I have like a nice part in Act 1, and then Act 2, I go out and I kind of tell everybody to go themselves, and then I leave, and there's like a half hour left. So I have this electronic drum kit. So I go down there in costume, and I play to like AC/DC and Led Zeppelin, and then the show's on the TV, and I wait for Bob Odenkirk to hand some money to Donald Webber, and then I go, all right, I got to go upstairs, and then I do that. So my drum chops are they're moving up with the acting too. So it's been really fun.
You mentioned some bands, and I know that's sort of the taste of music you grew up with. You were at the SNL 50th, and you had to, I don't know, did you mend fences with Eddie Vedder? It seemed like a one-sided issue you had with Eddie Vedder.
No, I had no. Eddie Vedder, lead singer of Pearl Jam, like that was the band that made me realize my youth was over, you know? So like I was watching all the hair metal and all of that, you know, in all those bands, and I was loving them, and they were on the countdown, and then Nirvana came in, and I was like, what's this? They always say like Nirvana knocked it out. It was Pearl Jam. When Pearl Jam came, that was another one of those grunge Seattle bands, and that's when I was like, oh my God, this isn't ending. Like, this is just gonna keep coming. And then all my bands, Skid Row and all of them were gone, and it was just these sad guys singing about being under a bridge and not being happy. And I'm like, what happened to nothing but a good time and ignoring all your problems with cocaine, right? Like, that was all over. And so I got to sit next to him, and he was like, I did it good nature. I was like, man, I hated your band. You ended my thing, and he was cracking up. I go, do you know how long it took me to admit how great a band Pearl Jam is? Because now I love them. But it was like 20 years where I just like, I'm not listening to those guys.
That's a nice thing about you, Bill. I think after 20 years, you reassess every position you've held.
Yeah, I evolve.
But you have 2 young kids. What do you listen to? Because that's a fascinating choice. What kind of music do you listen to around the house with kids?
AC/DC. I raise them right.
Great.
I raise them right. And you know what's my favorite thing ever is my son, not only does he love AC/DC, he dresses up like him. I got him a guitar and he like watches the videos. He can do like his Chuck Berry thing. And one of my favorite moments, I was laying in bed with my wife and my son woke up early when he was 3 and he started singing Sin City. First song, second side, Power Age. 3 years old, he was down, this little voice, dun, 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 dun. And I'm looking, my wife doesn't know the song. I'm like, he's singing Sin City. I love this kid.
Well, you're doing a good job. I got a lot more to ask you about. We'll be right back with more from Bill Burr. Welcome back. We're here with Bill Burr. You also have a fantastic Hulu special that came out recently, Drop Dead Years.
Yep.
Can you explain the title to us?
Oh, it was just something, being 56, These are like the years where it's a weird age as a man. You're too young to die of natural causes. But you're right in the sweet spot of dropping dead.
Right.
So dropping dead is like this uniquely male phenomenon. Like guys drop dead all the time. Women, you don't go to your Pilates class and see women clutching their chests or whatever. For some reason, it's weird because there's just as many out of shape women, but they don't seem to have heart attacks. I don't know what it is. They cry out their emotions.
Yeah.
But we have a steak and some French fries for a couple of decades, and next thing you know, we're falling out of a golf cart, and that's it. There's no defibrillator to bring you back. They should have a defibrillator at the turn of every golf course. Instead, they just give you more stuff to have a heart attack, which is what's amazing about golf. So many people take up golf because their doctor says you have to start walking. You're a ticking time bomb. And then what do? They get a golf cart, and they're smoking cigars, and we're idiots. Corned beef sandwich.
This is not enough.
7 iron? 7 iron? Trying to get out of the way of your man boobs?
While you're swinging there, something I wanted to ask you about. So, fellow Red Sox fans, Yankees. New York Yankees broke out these new torpedo bats.
Oh, aren't those cool?
Yeah. What do you think? What is your take? Fair play?
I love it. They should do stuff like that. They should turn it into golf. If you just, how if you suck at golf, you don't have to get better at it. If you're like a podiatrist and you're slicing, they just design a golf club to make it go straight. The Yankees should go up with those big red plastic bats that you teach a 3-year-old with. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems, as a Patriots fan, they're weighing our footballs, and these guys are going, hey, that part of the bat you're not supposed to hit it with? Let's make it the sweet spot also. So, I don't know. Listen, they're just a $275 million team that could, they're trying. I will say it's funny to watch them not even remotely spend as much money as the Dodgers, and watching them completely outspend them is really a funny thing. Just, as a fly in the wall, watching these two cities battling each other. And, New York, everything's big, we spend the most money. And then LA's like, no, you don't. We're spending more than you are.
I love it, your intense accent work that you've developed about California and New York.
Yeah, while wearing a pink sweater, What's his face? I always do something to give the trolls something to talk about. So there's going to be a bunch of, he's wearing pink now on this liberal show. What is this, some woke? What's funny is white liberals are the ones that gave the definition of woke to whites on the right. So no white people really understand, it seems, what that word really meant when they took it from black people. So people on the right just think it means an insufferable, self-involved liberal douche. And they're not wrong if they're talking about a white person.
Right.
Running around crying about their pronouns is like the sun is like lighting the planet on fire. See, look how scared you are about pronouns. It's unbelievable.
They like when you talk
Meanwhile,
about
the rest of the world doesn't want to take our food because they see what we look like. They don't want our beautiful chicken. They don't want our beautiful beef. Yeah, why is that? Why would you think?
It is just always the
Go
best.
to Europe and if you can, and eat a tomato and see what it really is supposed to taste like. This is a tomato?
That's a good advice.
Oh, my
See the
God.
world. Hey, congrats again on the show.
I thought it was supposed to taste like Xerox paper.
You guys, this is Bill Burr. Bill Burr, John Denyer, Stephen Hu, Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross. Don't miss it. At the Palace Dinner Bell, we'll be right back.